Hello, this is the Ramblings of an Indisciplined Mind podcast for Tuesday, September 20th, 2016. So I was catching up on Nathan Lowell's Talking on My Morning Walk podcast, and he talked about, on one of them, I think it was Saturdays, might have been Sundays, I don't recall, one of the two, he was talking about how he was reading an article in The Guardian that was stating that, we live, and this is the Western I guess, the Western world, lives in a post-fact society. And The Guardian, if you're not familiar with it, it is a British newspaper, and it was relating this specifically to the Brexit vote. Talking about how, the facts of the case, that people didn't take the time to look at the facts, that people weren't interested in the facts, and that is part of what caused the vote to go the way it did. And so you kind of get into the, well, tell me the truth that I want to hear kind of feeling, and then I will act based on that. And he drew some parallels. You can certainly apply that to our society as well. It's not just a British thing. And I was listening to this and thinking about it, and I thought, I believe that there are a number of causes. And I think there are three major causes here in the last decade at least. Some of these causes I think go way, way, way back. Two of them really do. And I'm going to say that would be the media, politicians, and the internet. Now, obviously, the internet's relatively recently. The media goes back decades and decades, and really so does politicians. So let's start off with the media. We see, I remember, I forget, at what age, I seem to think it was like in the 70s, but I could be off on that, but I don't think so, where the powers that be in the medical field and elsewhere decided that margarine was better for you than butter. And that was all we heard about. Don't use butter. It'll clog your arteries. You should be using margarine, this artificial product that tastes just like butter, but it's better. And that went on for quite a number of years. I mean, into the at least into the 90s. I remember when Paula Deen first started getting popular on the Food Network. She was remarked upon because she liked to use butter and just butter and lots of butter, and like, oh my God, this woman's playing culinary Russian roulette was kind of the feeling at the time. Of course, they've since come back out and said, well, margarine, the stuff margarine's made of really isn't that good for you. And butter's fine so long as you're not eating a pound a day. You're using it in some moderation, like anything else. And so then, the same, and probably not the same ones, but, so then the media turns around and says, oh, no, now margarine's what you got to stay away from, and butter's fine, so, so you kind of get to the point where you don't necessarily trust their facts. Certainly anything health related, I wouldn't look at the news, the media, as being able to give me a credible fact. If you look at any of these, excuse me, I got to get this out of here. I'm tired of seeing the reflection of when I got to get my next oil change on my face there. If you look at any time we've got any kind of a major incident, a shooting, whatever, you get the news people that are looking into it, and they're reporting facts as they know it. And 9 times out of 10, those facts are wrong or misstated. So you can't really rely on what they tell you as facts. Politicians, I don't know that we really need to go into that in detail. I mean, lying politicians are a stereotype. because the facts that they give are misleading, and it's kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, it's true from a certain point of view, kind of thing. It's like, well, yeah, okay. And I feel like it's kind of built up in us, kind of a Pontius Pilate, what is truth? Is mine the same as yours kind of feeling? And I have a good recent case in point on that. So there's something that's been going around the internet, and just kind of show you how the internet feeds into this, I think. There's this thing that's been going on the internet that shows, the 5 presidents that are alive. So I think that would be Obama, both Bushes, Jimmy Carter. Obama, both Bushes, Jimmy Carter. That's 4. I'm missing one. Anyway, a picture of 5 of the presidents who are still living. Maybe Gerald Ford, is he still alive? I forget. And it says, all 5 of these presidents warn against electing Trump as president. And so one of my Facebook friends posted this, and I'm thinking, well, that's got to be utter BS. I have a hard time believing that. So I went to my ever trusty Snopes. And, Snopes basically gives you typically one of 3 answers, and that would be it is confirmed, it is false, or it's a little both. And, so not surprisingly, the Democratic presidents, Bill Clinton, duh. You're probably yelling at me, Bill Clinton. Yeah, Bill Clinton. So Clinton and Obama have obviously thrown their hats in the ring for Hillary, sticking with party lines. And I guess the other 3, while they haven't, they aren't saying go vote for Hillary, they really haven't, as of the writing of whatever this thing, they really hadn't endorsed Trump. And so I was like, do I want to post that? And I got looking at the comment stream, which really wasn't all that long yet. And somebody had said, this isn't true. The Republicans haven't endorsed Hillary, but they haven't endorsed Trump either. And the person who posted it said, well, isn't that, if you're not endorsing Hillary, then that's, how did she phrase it? She said, since those are Republicans and since they're not endorsing Trump, it's the same thing. And it's like, no, it's not the same thing. I mean, here she's coming up with a validation to fit the fact that she wants to be true. And so she posts this, it was a she, in case you couldn't tell, this rather gross self-rationalization for why this fact has to be true, if not in actuality, then in the spirit of the fact is true. So I think that it has a lot to do with it. Is that there really isn't much that you can point to these days as far as who's presenting true facts to us in information. You certainly can't rely on the internet. You can't rely on the media for a number of reasons. I mean, there's bias, and then there's just plain poor reporting, plagiarism or not plagiarism, making stories up, that kind of thing, whatever that's called. So yeah, I don't disagree that we are in a post-fact society, but it's I think the causes of that are varied, and it's fine for a newspaper to sit there and say, kind of shake their head and go, we're in a post-fact society. But in a large part, it's newspapers and other media outlets that have contributed to that. Now, I am assuming that, I don't know that specifically about The Guardian. I do know the reputation isn't very good. So I'm guessing, since what little I've seen of the British press, they tend to be even more sensationalized than the press here. I'm feeling pretty comfortable to say that The Guardian's probably part of the problem. But, you know, hey, if you're a Brit listener and you think that The Guardian is, you know, a font of truth, then, dear, by everything that's holy, please leave me a comment and let me know, and I will consider your viewpoint. And you'll get on the Saturday feedback show. Woo! Win-win. So, yeah, if you're in Britain and you think that The Guardian is the best of the best of the best of the best, then do, by all means, let me know. I do not in any way, shape, or form present myself as an expert in, well, much of anything, but certainly not the press in Britain. But that's all I got for today. I will be back tomorrow. I'll be talking to you then. So, be seeing you.